So the next sauce I'm going to show you is a beef gravy, or as us chefs like to call it, a jus. So, I'm going to start with a very hot pan. I'm going to get the pan, a bit of heat in the pan, and I've got here 4 small onions just sliced, and I've got 4 cloves of garlic, again, just halved. Not peeled, but just halved. I'm going to get a bit of heat into the pan to start with, because I want that to catch straight away. So, you'll notice there's no oil or butter. We're just using the actual natural liquid inside the onion. Onions contain a fair amount of water, so we just wanted to get those in. The garlic in as well at the very beginning. Just start to get some colour on those. So we normally tell our students, or we tell chefs, where's the cooking medium? In this one there isn't. There's no oil or butter. We're just using the natural liquids within the veg. This is a dish you can make at home that makes the house smell wonderful. So now I'm going to put a stem of rosemary that's just been washed, hasn't been picked, just been washed, and a few stems of thyme, 4 bay leaves, and 8 to 10 peppercorns. So as you can imagine, the smell's fairly fantastic off this. We're getting a beautiful browning going on. So this is opposite. As I said before, my previous sauces, I'm looking to sweat without colour. This time I'm looking for the exact extreme. I'm looking for now darkness. I'm looking for it to be coloured, not burnt, controlled colour. Not so we can just put it on the stove and walk away, but I'm looking for a nice control of the colour. Wonderful smells. All the garlic's now reacting with the heat and the rosemary and thyme. Just want to get a little bit more colour. And there are variations. We say this to all our students all the time. Some chefs will use leek, carrot, celery in theirs. I'm a believer in that this is one of the best ones I've actually worked on and played with over the years. This works really well for me. Many chefs have many different ways of making things. We always teach our students this is how we would make it, but as you get older you'll adapt things and make them your own way. So, nice bit of colour coming on there now. So, as you'll see now the onions are starting to brown nicely. Another key thing, when I stop touching it, you'll notice the steam will eventually just start to very slowly go stop. That means the liquid's coming out of the onions. There's not much liquid left. So it's getting to the stage where I want to put that in. As you see that now, as I've stirred it around, there's less and less steam coming through because the water's come out of the onions now. So next thing, I'm going to put a loaded teaspoon of tomato puree. At this stage, be careful. It literally is the only liquid you put in so far, so it can tend to catch a little bit. Just want to get that all mixed in. So I'm cooking the puree out instantly. That certainly changes the smell. It'll almost smell a little bit burnt. Don't panic, that's what we're after. We're not wanting it to be totally burnt, but now you'll see the liquid from the puree has now started to evaporate and incorporate into the onion. Now what I'm going to do is remove that from the stove. Really important now that we let this, just stir it to cool down slightly. Okay, just very carefully. Then we'll add our port and our red wine. And again, just be careful to stand back, let the steam come out, let it evaporate. That's why it's important you take it off for a few moments. Don't put the liquid on while it's on the heat. And now what we're looking for is almost a marmalade type effect. Sticky jam marmalade type effect. So that the port and the red wine is cooking down. I'm just going to slow it down now, it's very low. I'm just going to reduce that by half. I don't want to reduce it all because it could make the sauce quite bitter. I'm just losing to reduce it slightly, about half. I have here a litre of very high quality beef stock, which I'm going to add in very gently. So I'm going to add roughly a quarter in to begin with. Again, I'm just going to temperature up now a little bit. I don't want it to boil over reduce. You now start to see the colours coming together nicely there. And the basic thing with a good jus is the quality of the stock. All the ingredients have to be high quality. If they're not stock, seek advice. But generally, the rule with beef jus, as with most foods, is the quality you start with is the quality you end with. So I'm just going to reduce that down, just turn it up very slightly. Add again another quarter of the stock, and I'm going to just let that now gently simmer down. Get it up to a simmer and let that simmer away. So it's now been cooking for roughly about 7 to 8 minutes. I'm just going to slow it down. I'm just going to show you something. On the outside of the pan, we have some impurities, and all that is sometimes the fat in the stock that we're using, and the impurities from the wine in the process of cooking. So we're going to remove that. We call that scum from the sauce. We're going to remove the scum part from the sauce. We're going to go around. If we allow it to stay in the sauce, it could bitter, make the sauce go bitter. We want to remove that. Take it round the edges. And just be careful not to remove too much liquid. We're just looking to take that colour off. Once we've done that, we can then continue. And I'm now going to add in the remaining part of my stock and cook that for about 12 minutes until it's to the right consistency. So as you can see now, this is starting to reduce down. I've removed all the scum. So what I'm now going to do, because the vegetables will become bitter if I leave them for too long, so what I'm now going to do is just place them through my chinois. Make sure they're all the way through, as much liquid as I possibly can. Now I'm going to reduce that down whilst continuously skimming. Again, you'll notice there's no seasoning yet. We'll do the seasoning at the very end. So continue to reduce that down until it gets to the right consistency finish that I'm looking for. So as you can see now, the sauce is reduced down and it's the right consistency. It should be not too thin, not too thick, and I'll show you that again when I present it on the plate. I'm now going to check for seasoning. A tiny sprinkle more salt. If you'll notice the sauce now, due to the reduction in the high quality of the stock, you'll notice the sauce is an incredibly nice sheen. It's very glossy. I'll just show you that on my spoon. It's lovely and glossy. And there is a slight amount of grain in there. So the sauce is nice and glossy. There's no fat. I've removed all the scum. And it's now a lovely flavour, a lovely deep beef flavour. So now I'm going to bring it up to the boil one last time. And bearing in mind, this is very, very powerful due to the quality of the stock and the wine and the vegetables we've used. It's a very powerful, so if you're going to serve this, you'd only serve a very small amount of this. Otherwise it'll be very intense and would overpower any dish that you make. You need to be very careful. Some chefs might pass this through a muslin, which is a very fine cloth that will catch all the bits of the bits of vegetable that are in there, left in there. But I feel this is a very high quality product without doing that. Plus it will reduce down the amount of sauce you get from your yield. You need to make sure you follow your recipes and get the complete yield that's required. So I'm about there now. Just going to let that come up to the boil. Ready for serving. Just going to bring it up. Now, if we kept on reducing this jus, it would end up getting very, very thick and very bitter. So we need to make sure we get it to the right consistency. Stop, not for immediate use, but refrigerate, label and date, and use another day. So I'm happy with it is now. I'm just going to to a gentle simmer. So now I'm going to just serve some serve some on the plate and I'll serve some in the sauce boat as well. So dish on the plate would be, we would then have that type of consistency, colour and sheen, and then we'd place that into our sauce boat and could be served on the side. There we have a beef jus or gravy.